Hi, I'm Will Fendon for Live, Love Lake Oswego. I've been a longtime realtor in Lake Oswego. My wife and I raised a family here, and now we're all running this YouTube channel together to share what makes Lake Oswego such a great town to live in. We've heard from a lot of you with questions about the local real estate market and how it's changing. If you'd ever like to talk about buying or selling real estate here, I'm easy to find. Please feel free to reach out to me at the number below on screen. You can call or text me there anytime. In today's lake tour video, we're going to show you a really idyllic part of Lake Oswego, the canals at the southern end of the lake. Now, there are two main canals. One of them is called the Kelok Canal. The other is called the Blue Heron Canal. But it's really hard to see the waterfront side of these homes because of the way the neighborhood streets run through this area. So we're going to show you some rarely ever seen footage from the canals that'll give you a really good feeling for what it's like to live on this part of the lake. And along the way, we're also going to give you a peek at some spectacular luxury homes. It all starts now. Let's go. Okay, we're really excited to take you into a different part of the lake that many people are not familiar with. You can see behind us, we're leaving the main lake of Lake Oswego right now, and we're about to enter what's called the Kelok Canal.
Yes, and to give you a little bit of reference here, on the left side is Maple Circle, and on the right side is Allen Road.
Yeah, and we're just about to pass under the bridge on South Shore Boulevard here, and on the other side of it, we'll be in the Kelok Canal. People that live here refer to this as the Kelok Canal, and it gets narrower. You live closer to your neighbors. The homes aren't actually like on the water, not like the homes on Cabana Lane that we talked about in another video, but they're very close to the water. These are very low bank homes, and you can see some of them even have swimming ladders. Almost all of them have private boat houses, or at the very least, they've got dedicated boat docks. But the thing about this part of the lake that I think probably stands out more than anything is just the feeling of it. Yeah. It's a completely different feeling to live on one of these canals. You're away from the main lake. You don't have as much boat traffic. You don't have as much wind noise.
Yeah.
You do live closer to your neighbors, so for some people that's a plus, maybe for others it's a minus, but you have a real sense of community here with your neighbors on both sides of your home, and also you can see them right across the canal.
And their outdoor living space is beautiful, and many have kayaks. You can see they can launch their kayak right into the canal and go and stand up paddleboards.
Oh yeah, it's great to kayak and
magic.
Stand up paddleboard in here.
Yeah.
The further we go, we're more or less heading west right now, the further we go, the narrower the canal gets. It gets narrower and shallower as we go, but it's really picturesque back here.
Yeah.
Okay, we turned the boat around before we got to the very end of the Kelok Canal, which actually goes past Bryant Road. And had we gone all the way to the end, we would have been able to show you two boat easements that are little known that are down there. One of them is called Woodside Community Circle, and the other one is called Bryant Park. They're kind of like sneaker boat easements.
We made a whole video about all the boat easements on Lake Oswego and all the boat easements on the canals and everything. So if you want to check that out, you can learn about all the boat easements on Lake Oswego.
It's the next best way to get onto the water if you don't live in a waterfront home, whether that's on one of these canals or on the main lake or on one of the bays that we've covered in all of our videos. The next best way to get onto the water on Lake Oswego is through a neighborhood boat easement. If you live in Lake Oswego and you're considering moving into a waterfront home, or maybe you live elsewhere in the Portland metro area, or even completely outside of the area, and you're researching Lake Oswego and trying to understand where are these waterfront homes, it can be a little bit confusing on these canals to actually figure that out. On this one, for example, on Kelok, on one side of this canal, Kelok Road runs the length of the canal from South Shore Boulevard to Bryant Road. That's easy enough. But on the other side, the street names change. So when you turn off of South Shore Boulevard, Canal Circle covers part of this canal, but then it changes to Lake Haven Drive. There are waterfront homes on Lake Haven Drive, and then going further, street name changes again to Sarah Hill Lane, but Sarah Hill doesn't connect to Lake Haven. You can only access Sarah Hill off of Bryant Road. So you've got waterfront homes on this canal off of all of those neighborhood streets, but it can be hard to figure out where they are because it's not obvious when you're on the street side, the non-water side of the canal here. So we can help you figure that out and untangle all that. If you'd ever like to have an exploratory conversation about waterfront homes that are for sale on these canals or any of the bays or even the main lake, I'm easy to find. Feel free to reach out to me. We'll flash the number again on the screen. You can call or text to that number. We'd love to talk to you.
As we're leaving the Kelok Canal now, we get an amazing view looking back down the main lake. Wow. Now to the right of the canal, there are some spectacular luxury homes that face the main lake. Take a look at these. On the other side of the Kelok Canal, off of South Shore Boulevard, there's a neighborhood street called Maple Circle. Now, this is a spectacular part of the lake. Take a look at some of these homes. Out at the end of this peninsula, there's one of the absolute most stunning homes on Lake Oswego that recently sold for $14 million. This is what we'd call a dream waterfront property, and it sits on a huge lot. As we make our way around Maple Circle, heading back towards South Shore Boulevard, take a look at some of the other homes on this side of the peninsula. Okay, the peninsula that you see on the left is accessed by a neighborhood street called Alder Circle. Here's a look at one side of this peninsula. At the end of this peninsula, there's a custom contemporary home that has an amazing amount of lake frontage and a spectacular view. Now we'll give you a look here at the Alder Point boat easement. If you ever want to see all of the boat easements on Lake Oswego, we made an entire video about that you can find elsewhere on this channel.
Okay, as we continue our canal tour of Lake Oswego, we've made our way over to the Blue Heron Canal. Now, we're not in the canal yet. We're still on Main Lake. But again, as a reference point, we want to point out here that
the homes that you see to my right here, these are on Alder Circle.
And the homes to my left, these are on a neighborhood street called Greenbrier. So that should help you orient yourself to where we actually are on the lake here.
And right on the left here is the Blue Heron Easement, which is a fun easement, lots of boats and stand-up paddleboards and all. And then the Blue Heron Canal is underneath that bridge under South Shore. We're not going to go down there, but it's a lot like Kelok, except for the feel and the canal and all is a lot like Kelok.
Yeah, from a lifestyle standpoint, very similar feeling. Many of the homes are low bank homes. We've talked about that a lot in these lake videos, but one thing that's worth pointing out about the Blue Heron Canal is the homes on one side of the canal sit up much higher because the topography changes here, and that's because there's a mountain behind us that actually it's one of the largest neighborhoods in Lake Oswego. It's called the Palisades. That starts right behind us here, and so the land kind of rises quickly on one side of the Blue Heron Canal, and it does create a different feeling for the homes that are on that side. Many of them are much higher. They have more steps down to the water, but they also have views in some cases, which is kind of a cool thing. But it is different than Kelok. Kelok, is all kind of the same level for the most part.
Much more low bank.
Yeah, and many of these homes also have really large lots. So, the backyards are big. There's plenty of space for outdoor living areas and, beautiful landscaping. And yet you're still on the water and it's quiet and protected. Yep. So it's different kind of waterfront setting than the homes on the main lake. But you made the point earlier that from an investment standpoint, the canals tend to be more affordable. That can be a better alternative for some folks if you're looking to get onto the water, but you haven't found a home on the main lake that works for you, or maybe it's a budgetary concern. That's another reason to check out the canals.
Another thing I love about living here is if you want to take your bike out and ride around the lake, you go over all these bridges and you get views of the water in all different areas, and they're beautiful. And in the morning, it's, especially over the weekend, it's not crowded, and you can get great views of the lake.
Yeah, there aren't too many places in Lake Oswego where you can see the lake as you drive around it. So those bridges that you're referring to on South Shore Boulevard, those are places where you can get a really great look down these canals, and you can also see out across the main lake in some cases. So again, if you're driving around the area and just familiarizing yourself more with Lake Oswego, check that out. One of our goals with these lake tour videos that we've made is to try and help you get a better understanding of where these waterfront homes are located in Lake Oswego, because it can be a little bit confusing. On Blue Heron Canal, for example, the homes on one side of the canal are actually on 3 different street names. So turning off of South Shore Boulevard on one side of the canal, you've got waterfront homes on Cedar Road, and then further down the canal, that changes to a little neighborhood street that forks off of Cedar called Wren Court, and then beyond Wren Court, you've got more waterfront homes on Cardinal Drive. On the other side of the canal, again, turning off of South Shore Boulevard, you've got Blue Heron Road from the South Shore Boulevard side, but then on the other side, which you can only access off of a neighborhood street called Royce Way, because Blue Heron Road doesn't go all the way through. It's called Blue Heron Way. So that can get a bit confusing to untangle and figure out, like, where are these waterfront homes? We can help if you'd ever like to have a conversation about that, whether you live here already and you're thinking about moving into a waterfront home and just wanting to learn more about that, or you're considering relocating from somewhere else outside of the area. We'd love to talk. We'll flash the number again on screen. You can call or text me there. We'd love to talk to you.
Thanks for watching Live, Love Lake Oswego, the first real estate channel solely dedicated to all things Lake Oswego. If you'd ever like to have an exploratory conversation about buying or selling real estate here, please feel free to call or text me directly at the number on screen. Or if you'd just like to see more content about this amazing place that we call home, please consider subscribing.